time, and maybe got some groceries down the street, day in, day out, one semester is gone, and the student return. Right? And so exchange program can be something like that. Right? And so the interaction is not there. Right? So I guess to us, the educators, we have to build in structurally, hopefully, the kind of interaction that we believe or pedagogically proven. I know you guys are education researchers here. I'm very ignorant in those areas, so forgive me if I'm too ignorant in those areas, because I'm an engineer by training. So if you know by theory or by practice something is good, we build into the program, we build into the student's life, like what the Shanghai NYU has done, right? 3 different nationalities in one dorm room. It's to enforce, if you like, or to facilitate interaction at least. So my belief, as my advice given to my president, is we don't try to meet targets. We try to dig into the roots of the problem. We try to meet genuine needs in our strategy. So that's my advice. And when we do that, we need to look at what we really want. So these high-sounding sentences, aim 2, aim 4, aim 5, aim 6, are our university's so-called educational aims. Right? So these sentences are always high-sounding, always fabulous words. The question to me as an engineer is how? Right? How are we going to do this? Right? And if you look at things like the so-called essential skills, right? They were used to call soft skills. But if you Google on YouTube or whatever, you will find that people now call them essential skills for the 21st century. Like being able to collaborate, communicate, global citizen, blah, blah, blah. You know all these words. And if you still think that that's not enough, you can go to the SDG number 4. You also have find something like that. But these are all goals. As an engineer, we need the means to achieve these goals. So my humble advice, because of my role in the university, is maybe we can leverage on some so-called innovations. So I have already warned you, right? The word innovation here is not rocket science. Something like blending. Right? You try to blend in students, internationalization abroad or at home or in a residential hall, whatever you have. You blend in contents. Right? You blend time. You blend space. Right? I will go into a bit of all of this in the later part of my talk. And you can do something at a course level. You can do something at a curriculum level. So these are things that I am doing, I try to achieve in the near future. And so I'm just sharing our experience. It's not prescriptions here. But one very important concept, apart from interaction, is what I call intensity. If you still remember my story earlier, I would say the intensity of the interaction of the exchange program that my student experienced was very low. Right? Intensity is certainly related to time. Right? The longer you spend in a foreign country, chances are you would accumulate a high enough intensity, so you would be able to assimilate the foreign culture and learn the language and all that. Right? But that doesn't mean time is the only factor, meaning that the more is better. Right? We have some programs in our university that send our students just for 1 week. But we ask these students to assemble teams of international mix, and they have to do a very, very hands-on project in a foreign country. So therefore, they have to be very close with each other, and they have to achieve the goal in a short time. So they become actually friends after that. So I would say this is the best outcome of an internationalization effort. So I just want to bring out this intensity word also in this slide. Okay, speaking of technology, one of my fundamental remits is to develop MOOCs for our university, because this is something that everybody is doing. But we have a very different view. Right? First of all, we don't think that MOOCs will help us to generate any meaningful revenue. And MOOCs will be somewhat useful as a PR tool. I'm not trying to be arrogant here, but we don't really need another recruitment tool for our university. So therefore, what do we do with MOOCs? Right? We try to use it as a vehicle to learn, right? to learn how to disseminate or deliver contents in an online way. As the previous speaker has already mentioned, it's an infinite space there. Right? So we try to use MOOCs for a different purpose. Right? But MOOCs by itself is also useful in internationalization. Right? For example, in one of our MOOCs, in a dentistry MOOC, we bring in experts from over 15 countries, 20 experts. So as a student, you get to learn from 20 different perspectives in this course. Right? Very, very international. And at the same time, you also interact or mingle with international learners from around the world. Right? So the question for us is, how do we make this a quality time? Right? And of course, we have a lot of tricks to do this. I don't have time to go through them here. For me, as I said, I'm doing this part-time, so I still have a day job. My day job is to research, develop, and teach. Right? So I use my own courses, which, by accident, is also a general education course. President Yu has already mentioned how fabulous a general education course can have a good impact on students. I'm also teaching a couple of such courses in computer engineering, of course. And by turning all my lectures to online materials in a MOOC form, if you like, my problem becomes, how do I use the classroom? Right? So a classroom becomes a playground. Right? I design activities, so-called active learning activities. Some of the previous speakers also mentioned. In this case, in this particular picture, I designed a board game, right, to get across computational algorithms in a general education course. As it turns out, I also have stories like Professor Yu mentioned. A few students came to me after the course, you know what, I want to do a minor in computer science, although I'm a politics student. I really want to change the field. I really want to equip myself, things like that. So I share the experience with President Yu. So the classroom becomes a different kind of space. And this is my classroom, day in, day out, week in, week out. Right? So it's not a lecture style like this, what I would call very, very low energy level. Right? Because most of you, including myself, would fall asleep, right, from time to time. Right? But not in here, because you are given a task to do. And for my class, I ask students to give me a video report after that. So they really need to work together. And I try my best to assemble international teams. Right? So students didn't get to choose their teammates. Right? So those are efforts that I'm trying to do, because as I said at the beginning, my role is to make things happen. So I have to walk the talk. Right? Another idea that I'm pushing is so-called content sharing. Right? Because everyone is doing MOOCs or online delivery, and we can actually share these contents. Right? But content sharing turns out to be very difficult to achieve, because just like this picture, you have to personally, very, very trusting the other person in order to share contents. Right? So those, just to get across a couple of ideas here. Experiential learning is a big word, right? Biggest one in this slide. Right? And you can also use that to get across internationalization objectives. And as I said, when you blend contents, when you share contents, one thing that I'm also challenging right now is the concept of a semester. Right? Why on earth we have to always religiously stretch a course along a semester? There's no need to do that. For example, my courses finishes in 3 weeks for the physical face-to-face part. Right? And online parts, many of my students finish in 1 day. Right? 10 hours of video lecture, they finish in 1 day. I don't know why they did that, but that's what they do. Right? So therefore, the semester, 15 weeks or 16 weeks, can be divided in different chunks, and you can slot in different courses or different experiential learning or different internationalization trips and what you have. Right? So this is what we call the breakthrough in timeline. My last bit is about AI. It's also part of our university strategy. We try to conceptualize AI as a different nationality, if you like, a different species on Earth. Right? Because as I said, I remind you once again, right, my day job is to do mobile computing, wireless communications. What I'm doing now in research is autonomous vehicles, right, navigating streets, right, with the help of those signposts and traffic lights and all that. So our students are going to live in such an environment. And what that means is that they are going to interact with AI day in, day out. Right? So we have to enable them to be able to interact with AI in a meaningful way, like interacting with a foreign student in a meaningful way. Right? So there's not much difference there. Right? So my last slide here is, how do we do this? We try to reconceptualize the library. I don't know about your library, but our library has recently turned into places for students to sleep, for students to, just have a drink. It's not very academic, let me put it this way. So we are trying to upgrade the library into spaces that students can interact with AI through VR, AR, and some other forms of artificial computational intelligence, so that they get familiar with the technology. They don't get intimidated by the technology, and so therefore they can make use of the technology. So that's our view, and that's our humble sharing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ricky, so much for sharing your insights and sharing with us some of the very specific implementations of technology at higher education institutions. And we're really looking forward to see the more advancement in the curriculum, in the activities at school, and brought by the technologies. And we definitely believe technology plays a critical role in the future. So, right now, we're going to have all our speakers back on the stage, and we will have our Q&A sessions. If you are interested in submitting your questions, please go to slido.com and input the event code 1149 to submit your questions. And we will select the questions submitted according to the time left. Please join me to give another round of applause to our speakers and welcome them to the stage. Thank you. So as we've listened to all the speakers, and they all have tremendous experience in higher education, and they are the strategic implementations of internationalization, and they are also the practitioners for internationalization. So we have a couple of questions to ask all the speakers if you have any if you can shed any light on those topics. First of all, is that what's your view on how to incorporate Belt and Road initiatives into the international education strategy for China? And what's the future of Chinese higher education will look like under all those initiatives raised up by the government?
好，行吧，那我就说说我的这个看法啊。第一个呢，我觉得我们这个“一带一路”的这样一个倡议本身呢，它就是为了推动不同地区、不同的这个群体之间的这种合作。所以呢，中国的教育在这个方面呢，应当说是大有可为的。厦门大学呢，在这方面也做了一些探索。前面我也刚刚呢也报告了啊，就是从这个2014年开始，我们建设厦门大学的马来西亚分校，就在马来西亚的吉隆坡的郊区。那么这个学校呢，现在有150英亩的土地，有4000多的学生，它自身呢有这个300多位教职员工。那么同时呢，我们厦门大学的本部每年呢还派它总教师人数的1/3去授课，这是根据要求啊。那么它的所有的课程都是英文的，全英文。那这4000多个学生呢，现在来自20多个国家。这些学生里头有 1/3是来自于中国，是通过中国的高考录取的。那么有超过1/3是在马来西亚当地招收的，还有呢，其他的呢是来自于世界各的一些其他部分啊，其他地区。所以就像刚刚于立中校长所介绍的上海纽约大学那样啊，我想有这么一个学校，有这样一个文明交流互鉴、多元文化的一个人才培养的平台，本身就是和“一带一路”的这样一个倡议呢是连在一起的，啊，它既可以把“一带一路”沿线的这些学生能够汇聚到一起，同时也通过提供一个完全国际化的氛围、完全多元的氛围、文化氛围，来为我们“一带一路”的推进能够提供更多的人才。那么在这特别说一点呢，就是我们的马来西亚分校的学生，在这个学习的过程当中也参与很多的实习啊的 internship。那么这些实习里头，有一部分是在我们这个在海外发展的中国的企业，也有很多呢就是当地的企业，甚至于是外国的企业。像我们这些学生，也有很多参与到到美国来实习的，到欧洲去实习的。所以这个国际的这学生的国际流动啊，现在是非常的普遍的。所以能够有这样一种交流，我想对于推动这个“一带一路”的这样一个倡议的落实是最有利的。所以从中国的教育来看，我相信可以在“一带一路”的推进方面发挥更大的作
用。I'll give you a different view. I think from a viewpoint of globalization, having students exchange their ideas, and that's a very noble vision. There's no question. The people, when you say what would be the common language, then you right away see the real challenge is get people to speak more in English in order to accomplish that on the campuses. Yet there's other trying against it. So why couldn't we speak Chinese, right? I mean, there's this national trend. So it makes it very challenging, in my mind, to reconcile this, how to accomplish build sort of a Belt and Road really on campus. Okay, we're talking about two very outstanding universities with very outstanding environment that makes it possible, but yet it is nevertheless a challenge. The second point I would make is looking at the U.S. perspective. I mean, Belt and Road has been looked by politicians rather suspiciously. They look at that as China's way of sort of influence the other countries by building the infrastructures going through sort of West Asia, Middle East, and all that. So in a way, that's very unfortunate, a very noble idea that at the end becomes of sort of like who's stronger, who goes to Southeast China, China Sea. Okay, so in a way, I think there is a challenge for both countries to not let just the politicians, the media, to actually look at it as a global strategy to become number one, but more like we can all get better when we have an all better understanding of each other. So that's sort of why my immediate reaction to the questions.
一带一路实际上关键还是人，是靠人去推进的。那么现在看起来啊，一带一路的这个倡议，第一步是政府在那个推进，但是它要进入到一个实质性的阶段，那就是很多普通的老百姓和各个领域的人要进入到这个一带一路的这么一个构建的过程当中。所以我觉得在人的教育方面，这个大学的教育应该是一个很关键的这个作用。我们的大学教育应该让我们年轻一代去理解一些什么问题。这个世界是复杂的， 但是在这个复杂的世界过程当中，人和人之间，文化和文化之间，怎么相互理解、相互交流，最后能够合作到一起去，这个是大学的责任。所以我一直觉得，如果我们大学不能够努力的去做这个工作，或者我们整体上面讲，我们的教育不能够去承担这份社会责任的话，人类就没有希望了。所以我想从这个意义上面来讲，我们每一个教育工作者应该为我们这份工作感到自豪。“一带一路”要往下面推进的话，教育在这里边一定会发生一个非常重要的这个作用。
我想再补充一句行吗？好，就是我特别想和大家分享啊，我昨天到了波士顿以后，在和哈佛的几位教授，以及我们厦门大学的几位校友交流以后的一些新的发现和新的想法啊，就是我们所讲的“一带一路”，它不仅是历史上的一个存在，它实际上和我们很多大家熟悉的事情是联系得非常紧密的。我昨天才知道，在波士顿这个非常著名的茶党事件当中，当时呢，这个4艘茶叶船，就是通过海上丝绸之路从厦门运来的。
Oh, is that right?
现在我们最近已经研究从厦门运来，说茶叶船呢从厦门运来，到了波士顿，后来发生了这个茶党事件，然后呢，和这个美国的独立战争就连在一起了。所以我们很多的事情啊。我们现在也顺便说一下，为什么会讨论这些问题呢？因为我们最近正在考虑呢，和哈佛的一些教授，一起来推动这项研究。当然，我们首先是从历史研究的基础这个角度啊，把这个事实先搞清楚，然后再研究在这么一些历史的存在是怎么来影响我们历史的进程，影响我们今天的生活的。所以很多事情啊，我相信啊，不仅仅是说。它发生了，在影响着我们，但很多事情今后呢，可能还会继续影响我们。而在这个过程当中，我们的教育不仅可以培养新一代的人，可以培养大家帮助我们的年轻人更多的了解我们的历史，同时我也可以通过我们的研究，把当年的一些事情，把它的脉络理得更加清楚，可以给未来更多的启示。
谢谢。
May I ask a question? Anybody who doesn't understand English that well? Because I can, or Chinese that well. I'm sorry, I'm not Chinese that well. Nobody raise your hand, then maybe from time to time switch back to Chinese. Just to show you I can speak Chinese too.
Well, we have simultaneous interpreting here, so feel free to use whatever language you feel most comfortable with.
Okay.
And thank you for accustoming to our audience. So I noticed that 4位校长教授，你们的谈话以及刚才的分享都谈到了这4个字：人才培养。那么，人才培养的是这个大学的使命感，对于这个社会的责任感的一个重要的部分。 那么我们在讨论这个国际化人才的培养，讨论这个跨文化之间的交流。那么很重要的是，在场的作为教育者们，我们都知道我们在讨论一个很重要的事情，就是 assessment。你怎么样去评估？像刚才郭教授也谈论到了，那么 internationalization 是一个大学排名的时候很看重的一个指标。那么如何在刚才像郭教授提到的 interaction 之中？ 很多时候，在这种国际化的交流、国际化的教育之中，我们的人才能够学到这些东西，我们如何能够去 assess、去评估？作为一个大学，如何去做到这些？作为一个社会，我们又如何能够看到国际化教育的这些优处、这些长处呢？谢谢。
Well, I'm a retired professor, so
你最有经验，最有经验。
I think you're from engineering school, and I was too. So I think in many ways the accreditation process for engineering colleges, they also have shifted from defining what students must do to outcome assessment, what the students will become. So you have to start by saying, I expect the students follow certain characteristic, will build up certain profile that they can excel. And I think you look at the measurement issue, it's not, there are tangible part maybe, but they're also not so tangible. So you might have to ask perhaps both in the longer term. I mean, short term, you can say, oh, you must go to someplace once. You must go take some course. You can measure those more tangibly, but in fact, I think is the culture, is the appreciation of people-to-people communication. Culture would be a important part of make that effective or not. So that's sort of my personal view is don't try too much looking at ranking or scores, but also look at what the intangible, what impact that you have made.
我很赞同那个教授的意见。实际上现在我们的大学评估，我觉得是有问题的。是这个他太关注于一些表象的东西，
对
一个过程的东西，而忽视了他最后的结果。实际上教育是有一个规范的过程，但是更重要的是教育的效果，它的结果是怎么样？这个我想就讲讲上海纽约大学，我们才7年的历史，毕业了2届学生，现在是第3届学生。我可以这么讲，上海纽约大学的毕业生是社会各界都非常欢迎的，无论他们去找工作还是去读研。实际上我这次来，我还要跟我们2届的校友见面。我知道在这里，在 MIT 和在哈佛，我们大概有14位学生，一共280个学生，里面有14个学生在这个地方学习。那个我讲的中国学生，那我们还有相同数量的这个国际学生。那个我们是做了一些企业的调查，就是他们对我们的学生为什么？因为现在大家都知道，包括现在在国内就业不是那么容易的事情。那个我们上海纽约大学没有清华、北大、复旦、交大这么大的名气，但是为什么学生他们根本就不用担心？就是我们申请研究生的平均每个人拿到3.6个 offer， 申请工作的也拿到2个多的 offer。我们的就是起步的工资都是远远高于我们现在最好的这个。为什么？就这样一所学校，而且这么新的学校，为什么受到欢迎？那个企业对我们的学生的评价大概有这么几个方面。第一个说，我们学生知道自己想干什么事情，因为现在很多大学毕业生毕业的时候还不知道自己想干什么，而上海纽约大学的教育就是让学生知道自己的这个责任到底想干什么。第二个，他们讲就是说，你们的学生有很强的沟通交流的能力，因为我们强调的是跨文化的沟通交流。那么在同种文化里边的沟通交流，那对他们来讲更是那个能够做到的事情。第三个就是我刚才讲到的一个社会责任感和一个对这个 professional 那个 understanding of the job。所以我想这就是一个企业对我们未来人才的一些最基本的要求。你知道想干什么，你懂得和人沟通交流，你有社会责任感。如果我们的学生都能够做到这几点的话，我相信所有的企业都会欢迎这样的学生。所以对大学的评价，我是觉得我们要评价过程，但是更要关注大学教育最后的结果。我相信总有一天我们会改变对大学评价的一个方法。
我也谈一谈我对这个问题的一些看法。我觉得刚刚这2位教授讲的都非常好啊，我是赞同的。我想刚刚可嘉提的这个问题啊，是非常有意义的一个问题，也是现在中国高等教育界在反思、在探讨的一个问题。这个问题的本质是什么呢？就我们过去讲这个很多这个评价啊 ，assessment 可能对我们一个教师啊他的工作有评价，他的成果有评价，对很多一个具体的项目可以有评价。但是实际上这里的还有一个很深刻的一个问题，就是对我们学生的学习成果和他发展潜力的评价。在中国正在推进呢我们的高考制度的改革，这本质上就是对我们这样一个对学生的评价的一个改革。也就是怎么来，因为他的高考承担着2方面的职能，一个呢是客观的评价学生的学习成果，另外一个呢就是从选拔人才的角度，怎么来展现学生的发展潜力。所以他改革这个高考的这个制度啊，实际上就是在解决这个问题。 所以这实际上是教育里面一个非常重要的问题。一定程度上来说，它关系到教育里面的一个非常重要的要素。就现在我们大家都在讲，教育是一个爱的事业，它的本质，它的表现形式上要体现公平。我们的公平不仅体现在说，我们让所有的人都有同样的机会。实际上，我认为一种很深刻的公平，还应当体现在每一位学生，他应当有机会把他自己的能力潜力充分发掘出来，而不是按照统一的标准，应该用他自己最适合的方式，他认为最好的方式，来发掘他自己的潜力。所以刚刚讲到的，具体讲到这个国际化，对这个学生的影响啊，怎么来评价的问题，我觉得呢，当然表象上来说，现在有很多的这个榜单，很多的排行榜都在讨论说，你这个学校里头有多少比例的学生有一些国际交流的经历，啊，或者你这个学校里头有多少比例的国际教师。当然，我想这些是一些有影响的数据啊，是一些重要的因素，但是它是比较表象的。实际上，对于学生来讲，这样一种多元文化的氛围、多元文化的经历，对他的好处，对他带来的这种益处，他自己是最清楚的。那么自己最清楚，通过什么来表现？我觉得有几个方面的指标，可能对刚刚大家讨论的啊，这样一种国际化教育的实效最能够表现的。一个，大家可以看到我们的这个学生在毕业以后，在职场上面的竞争力，他的表现，他是不是变得比以前更很多方面，他的视野更开阔了，他的能力更强了。在这个方面呢，我们也专门有一些观察啊，可能初步的是形成一种理解，他可能对不同文化的理解，而更高级一点的，他就可以实现对不同的一些复杂国际事务的一些驾驭的能力、把握的能力，他能做更大的事，这是一个方面。另外，在中国，特别在中国，可能大家很多来自于中国的同学都了解，还有一个很重要的指标是什么？就是你这个 program 出来以后，他是不是真的能吸引很多很优秀的学生？他进来了以后，是不是他每年的这个录取分数线都在往上走？这实际上是很好、很重要的一个指标。我了解的，我们很多的学校，像这个在中国开展那些合作办学的学校，现在就处在这样一个很好的态势上面。那我们很高兴的，就我们厦门大学的马来西亚分校也是这样啊。最近这些年，它录取的这个分数是不断的在上升，所以实际上就客观上证明了我们的同学，包括我们这些同学的家长啊，他的家庭啊，认可了这样一种教育，他觉得这个教育是真正的就是增值的啊，能够增长它的价值的，能够让他有切身的这个实实在在的收获，这样呢，他才会在他面临选择的时候投下赞成的一票。
来，我能不能补充一下？I think there are two things maybe worthwhile thinking. One is, I think the Chinese people is very rank conscious. There's no question about it. 就是家长要来送小孩子来，一定要问是前100名啊，前50名啊，前30名 ，right? So you guys sitting here, you have no problem. The fact that you are here, but I think often your exams is the same thing. Maybe fair, but not accurate. That we should keep in mind. You may have high score, but doesn't mean you are the best by comparison. 所以教育高考，比如说是我以前在台湾也是联考，也是这个问题。我就考得没有我太太考得好，还是进了比较好的学校 ，right？ 就是我常常说，是最公平的方法，但不一定是最准确的方法。我想这个是一个 concept。那另外一个 concept 就是说 ，you don't have to compete on the same criteria. In U.S., you have large and small, different style of universities. So how do you be the best in class In a class, you define that's where you're grouping that you want to compete with and you want to be the best. But it doesn't mean you have to be the best in everything and you have to be Tsinghua or Beida, right? So when 2 days ago, Zhang Xiaozhang and I, we were in New York and we were talking about this. Obviously, I knew about his Malaysia, the 分享 and all that. I said, you are equipped with such a unique resources. Don't try to compete and make sure you have higher ranked than Tsinghua, right? But the fact is, you can define the kind of uniqueness that you will be the best in class. People will know. So I think that this measurement thing sort of, maybe you just start from an international aspect, but at the end, I think it's a very profound topic. We're all struggling with this idea of ranking, how to measure.
谢谢。So we really appreciate for all of your insights and perspectives, and I hope getting out of this conference, this panel, that we will keep in mind that assessment is one tool in the education. It is definitely important, but it doesn't represent the whole picture. And we also wanted to emphasize and echo all the perspectives and insights has been shared here, is that there are a lot of problems and there are a lot of innovations. There could not be one answer to all the problems, but each speakers here, they're doing their own work, providing one solution to one problem, or two or three, but it's a part of the societal problems. So we really appreciate their work and for their insights and sharing with us. Please join me to give another round of applause to thank our speakers for today. 由于时间的限制，我们更多的讨论将在下午举行。抽中了的观众可以在下午来到我们的 Goodman 303。谢谢大家。Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. 非常感谢各位嘉宾的精彩分享和各位观众的热情参与。我们下一个活动是 STEAM 与创新教育，我们将在上午11点准时开始。
And we like to thank our presenters again for their wonderful presentations and for our audience for your engagement. Our next panel will take place at 11 a.m. It will be STEAM and Innovative Learning. Thank you.
Welcome to the 2019 China Education Symposium. My name is Bridget Terry Long, and I am the Dean of the Harvard Graduate School of Education. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there with you today, but I'm very pleased to welcome you to our campus. I also want to say a special thanks to the student organizers, the panelists and presenters from all over Harvard University and the world, and the many participants who have come today. I hope that you've come with open minds and that you are prepared to and have a shared commitment to explore new possibilities through education. Connecting with one another as education scholars and practitioners across disciplines and geographic boundaries is a critical part of the mission of HGSE. In fact, I see convenings like this as a key to inspiring educators to explore new possibilities. China and the US share many challenges and opportunities in education, and we have a great deal to learn from one another. Finding new solutions to these persistent questions requires new ways of thinking and working together. In closing, I'm proud and very excited that this is the 10th year that the Harvard Graduate School of Education is hosting the China Education Symposium, and I hope your weekend inspires you to explore new possibilities. Thank you for coming.
Hello, I'm Howard Gardner, and I teach at the Harvard Graduate School of Education, and I want to welcome you to the 10th Annual Chinese Education Symposium. I actually have a long history with China. I first went to China in 1980, right after the Cultural Revolution. It was a very difficult time. I went there to learn about the teaching of arts and creativity and to exchange how it's done in the United States. And I learned that, in fact, both skills and a search for creativity are important. And it doesn't really matter which ones you do first. It was a wonderful educational experience for me. Let me fast forward to 2019. It's a very different time and a very different place. It's very good that our two countries, which are very important, though they're not the only important ones in the world, are in regular touch with all sorts of exchanges. I applaud the Nicholas Bergwijn program of mutual understanding between China and the United States. And of course, I'm thrilled that Chinese society in many ways is thriving. But I'm also concerned. In the United States, I'm concerned about the threat to democratic institutions and government, and about our increasing reliance on civil society, journalism, and non-government agencies. That's not enough to have a democratic society. And I worry about China and the increasing surveillance of its citizens and using that surveillance in order to make overall judgments about human beings and their citizenship. I look to you, those of you attending this symposium, to take the strengths of each society and to build on them, but not to be afraid to criticize the problems and ill-advised policies which may be pursued, because the world relies on the judiciousness of the leaders and the citizens of our two important countries. Enjoy your celebratory meeting. Thank you.
I am delighted to welcome you all to the China Education Symposium at the Harvard Graduate School of Education. My name is Fernando Reimers, and I'm the Ford Foundation Professor of the Practice of International Education here at the school. And it gives me great pleasure to see how the student-led initiative has grown from a meeting that in the first iteration gathered only 15 students in a small room in Larson Hall to this massive gathering that brings students from many universities in the United States and in China. I think this symposium absolutely reflects the aspiration of our school expressed in the theme of our campaign, Learn to Change the World. With your presence amongst us today and with the conversations that I'm sure will take place in this symposium, you will be helping all of the members of the Harvard community to learn to change the world, and hopefully we will be helping each other to learn to change the world. I hope your deliberations are productive and enjoyable, and that you will all come out of this meeting being a little bit better global citizens.
Hello, I'm Catherine Snow. I'm on the faculty here at the Harvard Graduate School of Education, and I had the privilege of participating last year in the 2018 China Education Symposium. It was a great opportunity to hear about new educational undertakings in China and to meet new colleagues and reconnect with old collaborators from Chinese universities. So I wish you the very best for your activities this year. I'm hoping it will be even better than last year. My own experiences working with educators in China have focused in the last couple of years around a project undertaken in collaboration with Si Chen, who's a postdoctoral fellow here. We have worked with many Chinese undergraduate interns to develop curriculum materials to support the quality of interactions and learning opportunities in rural kindergartens in China, in kindergartens established under the leadership of the China Development Research Foundation as part of the One Village, One Preschool program. So it's an exciting project, and one in which we're designing what we hope will be a somewhat new approach to thinking about how to do a better job of early childhood education. So enjoy your time at the China Education Symposium, and best wishes for this iteration of the effort.
She should use this microphone.
尊敬的各位来宾，我们的下一个活动将在11点准时开始，请各位在剩余的2分钟内准时落座，谢谢。Our next panel will begin at 11 a.m. sharp. So if you haven't taken a seat yet, please do so in 2 minutes. Thank you.
开始的呀，我现在没有，他们给我开声音。开麦是吧？我去传一声话。
尊敬的各位来宾，非常抱歉，必须要打断你们的谈话。我们的下一个活动现在就要开始了，请您立即落座，麻烦。Our next event will begin now. So if you haven't taken a seat yet, sorry to interrupt your discussions, but please take a seat as the event will follow.
How's it going?
这有水。
That's right, of course. Cool. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's
你要开始说话，不然他们永远不会坐下去。帮我拿手。好，等他们这边前面台下去把他们去把于校长那一块。跟他说
Please take a seat. Testing, testing. Please take a seat. Please take a seat. The next event is STEAM and Innovative Learning Panel. The event will begin soon. Please take your seat. The event will begin soon. Please take your seat. The event will begin soon. Please take your seat. The next event will begin in a minute. Please take your seat. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jingwen Xie, and I'm the panel manager for the STEAM and Innovative Learning panel this year. Today, we are very honored to have the 4 distinguished speakers from China and the United States to share their insights into research and practice in STEAM and innovative learning. With specific areas and macro-level analysis, we hope to discuss how to leverage the power of quality STEAM and innovative learning resources in different contexts. Similar to our previous panel, we'll use Slido to collect some questions that you might be interested to ask our speakers. And our code is 2939. We'll select some most popular questions and raise that in the Q&A session after the individual speech. Besides, we appreciate CC Talk and Soho Education for broadcasting this event to help us to reach a wider audience. Our first speaker today is Dr. Christine Rich. Christine is the Vice President of the Museum of Science in Boston, and she's also an adjunct lecturer at Harvard Graduate School of Education. Her class, Formative Evaluation, is one of my favorites. And I can't wait to hear more about her insights into informal learning in museums. Please join me with a round of applause to welcome Dr. Christine Rich.
Thank you so much. It is a delight and honor to be with you here today, particularly to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is informal learning and the role that museums play in that sphere. So I am at the Museum of Science Boston, which is located just a few miles down the road, right on the Charles River. We actually sit on the Charles River Dam, and half of our building is in Cambridge and the other half is in Boston. So we are a multi-city museum. Our local reach is about 1.4 million visitors that come to our museum each year. We have a much broader reach, however, that is international, that is millions more. We produce curricula that's used in schools, particularly around engineering and computer science. We have a number of international networks that we lead that bring together science museums and children's museums throughout the world around particular topics. A previous one that was quite expansive included hundreds of museums focused on nanotechnology. We also focused in on child development and spread our reach through those national networks. We also have an active traveling exhibition program, and I'll talk a bit more about that. So although we are a local organization that is looking to expand the role of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math here in Boston, we also are looking to change the entire world in terms of STEM education. So I'll talk a little bit about what is informal learning. So here in the States, we divide informal learning as learner motivated, guided by learner interests, voluntary, personal, collaborative, nonlinear. Most of the time when we're talking about informal learning, we're talking about the learning that takes place outside of the school system. And what's interesting is if you add up the number of hours in a day and you look throughout our lifespan, we spend many more hours outside of school than we do inside school. So the opportunities for learning are much greater in the informal sphere than they are within the school environment. And yet, I know our culture focuses much more on schooling as a mode of education than we do all the other areas of informal learning. Areas where informal learning take place include museums, but also through media, after-school programs, national parks, and most probably prominently, family conversations. A lot of the ways that we learn is through discussions with our family. So we think about ourselves as a site of informal learning, and so we're always thinking about how do we motivate people to want to learn when you don't have extrinsic motivating factors such as grades or a need and desire to succeed? How do we engage visitors in topics like computer science and global climate change that are complex, where maybe they don't have an immediate interest, but which we want them to have an ongoing interest in that topic? And so that's the challenge and the great opportunity that we have. If we can convert people so that they feel like they want to learn about these topics, they become more highly motivated learners. And if we can help people to see that they are capable about learning these complex topics, we actually find that it changes their sense of identity from someone for whom these topics are not relevant to ones where they want to continue to learn. So we can be those motivators that change how people view themselves. I'm going to talk about one particular project that is STEAM connected, which is the science behind Pixar. For this particular exhibition, which is a traveling exhibition, we started with a topic that's of high interest and motivation for visitors, which is Disney and the Pixar films. Many of you know the Pixar films, including Toy Story, Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, sorry, I just blanked for a moment. Monsters, Inc., Coco, Incredibles. My son's a huge Pixar fan, so he'll be very mad at me for forgetting. And so we started with this interest in the films, and what we realized is the films are all generated through computer simulations. They're not hand-drawn. They're all generated through computers, and we had this beginning hypothesis of, can we use interest in the films as a way of generating interest in computer science? When we opened the exhibition and we tested the exhibition with our audience, we found that the majority of visitors were coming in with a very high interest in animation and a very low interest in computer science and math. When they left the exhibition, their interest in animation remained unchanged, but their interest in math and computer science went up. So we were able to transfer their interest in animation to an interest in computer science and math. I think more significantly, we saw that visitors came away more interested in creating their own computer science program and more interested in pursuing computer science careers. And this happened even though our visitors, when we asked them, how complicated is computer science? How difficult is it? How difficult is it for you to learn? What they reported was higher levels of difficulty upon exit. So they're more interested, even though they came away with a feeling that this is a more difficult topic. That's a motivated learner, when you realize something is difficult and I want to learn about it. So we were really excited about that finding. Another element of success of this exhibition is that it's had a lot of worldwide interest. So today it is opening up in Japan. This was the installation from earlier this week. And it just finished a tour through Canada. And we have high interest in, I know a museum in Hong Kong that is interested, Europe, Central and South America. So we're looking to bring this to a worldwide audience, in addition to the copy that is now circulating in the US. Our current position within the US is in the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. So in one way, you could just say we had a really smart idea, we thought about this, and it succeeded, and isn't that great? But we heard earlier about the growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. And our mindset as an organization is very much a growth mindset. So this did not come by accident, but came through hard work. So we thought carefully about the entry points for visitors, those entry points being the films, and not just the fact that, oh, they're interested in this, so they'll want to learn, but how do we generate their sense of excitement, actually elevate their activation within the gallery by connecting to the film. So we had these immersive centers where you can place yourself within the film. So this is Finding Dory and a young child exploring a tactile model of the character. That was a way of generating excitement. And we found that once visitors have a heightened level of excitement, they're more likely to persist when they have a challenge before them. So throughout the exhibition, we challenge visitors to actually simulate, using computer programming skills, using mathematics, different scenes from their favorite movies. So here, what they're trying to do is animate Mike's wave and play around with different types of curves and seeing how that changes the realisticness of the character. In addition, we know that many different types of learning, when they can be combined, reinforce one another. So we also had videos where visitors could listened to Pixar technical designers and engineers and computer scientists as they talked about the challenges they faced when developing the films. So we were modeling computational ways of thinking in addition to providing visitors an opportunity to practice it. We also had tactile stations where visitors could explore tactily the different characters from the film, as well as create some of their own scenes using tactile components, combining things together. What we found is that different demographic groups tended to gravitate towards different styles of interaction. So it was actually older children that were more likely to pursue the tactile interactions, perhaps because those are more novel for them, where our younger learners were gravitating towards the computer simulations. And the adults were more likely to engage through the videos. So these components reinforced one another if visitors used all of them. But if they just used one, they still were able to get the main messages of the gallery. So when you think about being learner motivated, you also have to think about what modality is our learner comfortable engaging with, and can they learn all of the main messages through that modality? Another way that we focus in on learner motivation is by reducing barriers to entry. We find that if our visitors can't figure out what to do and what the experience is about within the first 15 to 30 seconds, they leave because they can't. There's no one there telling them they have to engage. And so for this particular component, what you do is you spin these tactile shapes, and as you spin them, you get to see how a two-dimensional form turns into a three-dimensional form. And on the screen, it starts off just as an outline and transforms itself into the Pixar universe. So the circle transforms itself into a donut shape, and it transforms itself into one of the toys that's in Toy Story. The triangle becomes a cone as you spin it on the screen, and it becomes a cone again in the Toy Story film. So you can see how the Pixar animators use these 2D shapes to create three-dimensional forms as a way of simulating the environment. This is very seamless, where what you're doing directly connects to Pixar world, directly connects to something that is computer simulated. It makes it seem like our job is easy, we just come up with these ideas. But the component actually started off in this form. And what we had was a shape that you would physically place within an environment, and then you press a button and it would physically spin. What we needed to do is add a door, because our visitors figured out, it's great engineering, but not what we wanted them to do, that you could put a triangle within a circle and spin the circle, and the triangle would shoot across the gallery. Clever engineering, but very harmful, and so we needed a door to keep visitors from harming one another. We also saw that they would pay attention to the spinning shape, but they wouldn't pay attention to the text that's directly next to it, that talks about the mathematics of the spinning shape and how it connects to the film. So they weren't getting the main idea. So we had many different iterations. We actually had 8 different versions of this prototype before we got to the final version, trying to reduce those barriers to entry. This is another component where we had to think about not the physical design as a barrier to entry, but actually the content as a barrier to entry. Here, visitors can manipulate different variables and different rules to simulate a school of fish and learn how one simulates with rules ways that complex organisms interact with one another. Originally, what we had wanted to do was a scene from Ratatouille. And we proposed to visitors, can you create a series of rats that are marching in a kitchen? And visitors had no conception what rats marching through a kitchen in an orderly fashion would look like. So they couldn't create the simulation. It was a barrier to entry. It was something they had never experienced before, where changing the film to Finding Dory enabled them to actually complete the simulation. So that's just a quick summary of how we use the arts and STEM to create STEAM that we think has had a very lasting impact. I do invite all of you, as you're in town, to please come by the Museum of Science. We are constantly learning by what we do and constantly innovating upon each project. And so each of our projects are very unique and different because we learn through our evaluation process how to create a better environment. So please come by and see what we're learning today. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine, for the inspiring and interesting speech. And our next speaker is Mr. Robert Yu. Mr. Yu is the head of Greater China Lego at Lego Education. He has years of experience managing learning solutions and experiences, delivering assessments, and developing transformative education projects for institutions. Let's welcome Mr. Robert Yu.
我先把2个很具有乐高标志意义的小积木放在这个讲台上，一个是小黄鸭，一个是乐高小人仔。乐高集团是一个具有一定历史的公司，实际上公司成立于1932年，起初的时候制作的是木头的小黄鸭，一个非常小型的一个工作坊。 到今天是成为一个跨国的集团公司仍旧是一个家族集团那但是呢，我们的内心是有孩子的这样一个童心所以今天很高兴能够和大家来分享我们在这个 STEAM 领域作为乐高教育的一些探索和实践尤其我会来分享我们在中国的一些实践。 前面于校长也特别提到教育是需要有理念的那乐高集团呢我们有一个基金会叫乐高基金会，很有幸呢乐高基金会和 HGSE 哈佛教育学院的Project Zero 有这样的一个相关的一些合作，去研究 Play-based learning 那同样呢乐高教育呢和这个 MIT 的 Media Lab 我们有将近30年的合作研究的是这个 robotics 和 STEM 和 STEAM。那我们得出了一些结论，这些结论呢，就是我们的一个整个 STEAM 教育或者乐高教育的一个理论基础。也就是说，我们相信我们的孩子的发展，他的学习是有这个 holistic 的 view 的，也就是说，它是需要全面的全方位的来看的。它不仅包括认知的。 很重要的，它有底层的生理的。那当然，我们说社交、情绪今天我知道接下去2天也会有这样的 SEL 层面的这个讨论。那同时呢，作为乐高集团，作为乐高教育，我们特别看重的是创造力。乐高教育作为乐高集团的一个子公司其实我们作为一个业务部门，我们成立于1980年。 那在这过去将近40年的发展当中呢，实际上大家看到，我们不仅在和学习相关的产品的研发上，或者说生态的建设上，我们做出了一些努力也尝试了各种各样的实践那我觉得在今天呢我们可以比较自豪地说乐高教育在全球来看我们是唯一一家能够 deliver K12 STEAM Learning Solution Continuum 的公司，也就是说，从3岁到18岁的孩子，从他幼儿园的小班到高中的3年级，他可以接受 STEAM 的教育，这样一个在教室的环境当中，乐高教育今天在经过了40年之后的积淀，我们可以比较自豪地说，我们有一个非常完整的解决方案的体系。 那很有意思的是，在过去的这2周，在4月2号，我们在美国纽约发布了我们最新的一款教育解决方案，针对6到8年级的 Spike Prime， 也就是这个 Mindstorms 左边这个在上周的4月8号，在上海，我们在中国发布了这个新品，然后在4月9号，等一下我也会提到，我们发布了针对中国市场的第一套校本的课程体系乐高教育 STEAM 基础教程。 那谈到解决方案呢，很重要的是说，为什么我们把自己称作是一个解决方案？因为我们超越了产品本身。我相信在座的很多同仁同学都玩过乐高玩具的这样一个体验或者说产品。那乐高教育呢，我们把自己定位为解决方案，是因为我们在做课程，是因为我们有基于 Scratch。 乃至在不久的将来会有 Python 的编程平台，当然我们也和业界的生态，比如说微软或苹果在这个我们说 Make Code Java 或者说这个 Swift Code 上都有很多的合作所以有这样一个 coding 的 learning platform。 那当然，我们说乐高集团很看重的，或者说我们非常引以为自豪的，是我们优质的品质的这个我们说硬件体系。这里面硬件体系不仅是你今天看到的塑料积木，它还包括这个我们说可编程的积木，包括我们说各种各样的 sensors。同时我们会不断去研发或者说创新我们的乐高积木系统。那很重要的是说，谈到 solution， 作为一个教育者，我们都知道，其实 solution 很重要的是前面我提到的，需要有理念的积淀。同时呢，这里面一个 solution 很重要的是说，我们怎么样去真正的动员或者说赋能整个教师的体系，能够去把这样的 solution implement 到我们的 classroom 当中。等一下我会提到，在这个层面，在我们在中国的实践。很有意思的是，在过去的这个3个月当中，乐高教育我们和一家全球的咨询公司 Harris Analytics， 我们做了一个关于 confidence 的调研。这是一个很有意思的调研。其实根据这个调研，我们发现，不管是我们的老师还是我们的学生，其实在应用新的教学方法或者新的教学内容，或者说面对失败的时候，有很大的自信心上的挑战。这是我们的一个 general 的 insight。好，这个数据我就不具体深研了，但是大家可以到时候都可以 PDF 分享这个具体的内容。但同时呢，这个 confidence in learning 我们又发现呢，如果我们在 implement 较为创新的学习内容或者学习体系的时候，如果我们使用的方式是 hands on 的是动手实践式的，如果我们的方式是允许孩子去犯错的，如果我们的方式是给孩子们和老师乃至家长带来更多自信的，那其实它的这个我们说作为一个学习体系或者课程体系，它的效果、它的 efficacy 会得到比较大的提升。那这也是为什么我会谈到接下去这一点，也就是说，我们认为去在教师的职业发展或者说他的职业这个我们说学习上是非常非常关键的。这也是为什么从2011年开始，乐高集团和中国的教育部这就谈到我们中国的本土实践哈，我们开始了教育部乐高创新人才培养计划这样一个专注教师培养的一个项目。在过去的将近9年过程当中呢，我们非常幸运的，也非常荣幸的，我们通过和将近12个师范院校的基地的合作，通过线上和线下2种模式，还有混合式的模式，培训了将近8万名的老师。我们带去了比较领先的一些教育理念，我们也普惠了一些 STEM 或者 STEAM 教育的实施的方法，但是前面的路还非常长因为中国我们知道有2000万老师。我们知道中国的小学科学课标在2017年才真正实施，2018年才有高中的这个我们说信息技术的课标。尽管说我们有科学技术这个信息教育的现代化的2035的目标或者说等等各样的执行的目标，但其实我们知道教育是一个非常慢细水长流的过程，而在投资在教师的发展身上，我们从乐高集团来说，我们认为是至关重要的。这也是为什么我们非常有幸能够在过去2年当中获得了教育部的认可，是最佳合作伙伴。就像我前面提到的，有理念、有赋能的教师培训、有解决方案，都是重要的。但是同时呢，我们一定要做出适合中国本土实践和本土专家研发的课程体系。那这套课程体系呢，其实前面于校长也特别提到我们不仅要有课，要有教材也得有体系。那这也是我们这一套课程研发的很重要的初衷。我们不仅是让它出版成为一套教材，而真正的它是能够成为一套体系。那现在我们出版出来是3套书，并且配有它相应的这个教师指南。我们期望在今年的9月前，我们将会有整条 K12的线完整的覆盖STEAM 的STEAM 教育的校本教材。这个是我们整个全球团队和中国团队非常 commit 的一个goal， 因为我们觉得只有当我们把这个体系打造出来，我们才能真正的赋能这个 STEAM 的教育这样一种新型的模式。 那很有意思的是说，在这样一个教程发布的同时呢，其实我们把新的教学法带进了这个体系当中。整个课程的体系是运用到5E的教学法啊，可能在 HGSE 的这个同学会比较熟悉5E哈。从这个 engage、explore、explain、elaborate 到最后的 evaluate 啊，这个是我们相信是带来比较领先的一些教育理念的这种 STEAM 的教学的方法。然后我简单谈一下，我们认为这个创新的 STEAM 教学这个我们说方法或者说这样方式，很重要的是真正的把 physical、digital 和 social 的 learning experience 能够通过动手实践的方式能够融合的表达出来。我们认为如果只有 physical 的 experience 不是唯一的，也不是足够的。那同时呢，如果只是专注于 digital 的 platform 或 experience， 我们觉得可能孩子们也，尤其像我们说幼儿或者说小学阶段孩子，可能过于艰深从这个 easy entry 的角度来说。但是呢 ，digital 也非常的重要，因为我们的教学解决方案，我们需要有一个 high ceiling， 对吧？我们需要有一个高水平。那 social learning experience， 我相信在前面的这个分享当中都在提到哈，这个在21世纪核心素养当中 ，collaboration、critical thinking and communication 是非常重要。那大家其实看到通过这些图片哈，这些非常真实的这个学习场景的图片，大家能看到 physical、digital 和 social learning 的这种体验的一种在 STEAM 的领域能够去更好的展现。那谈到 digital， 我们在做一些有益的尝试，比如说 Mindstorms 头脑风暴 1v3 这一款机器人我们通过和微软的合作在这个编程语言上，它能够 easy entry 用图形编程能够来容易的进入，但是同时呢，它有个 high ceiling， 它能够去学 Python 能够在文本编程上能够去学习，同时有虚拟的体验。所以这都是我们在全球层面来做的一些探索我们也在从中学习很多的数据和结果希望能够更好的提升这个学习体验。接下去跟大家分享一些我们的从解决方案上的例子哈。前面提到了 K12 的 Learning Continuum 我们认为在这层面我们是具有一定的引领意义的。谈一个我们在2017年底发布的新产品百变探索乐园STEAM Park。大家看到这 STEAM Park 整套体系中运用到了很多的可能在成人都需要花一点时间理解的理念哈，包括 probability 等等这个我们说概率等等。但是我们通过这一套百变探索乐园，让孩子通过一个动手实践的方式，在协作的过程中，在老师的引导过程中，他能够去初步去接触 STEAM 各个层面的这个我们说概念或理念这是一个例子用一个非常简单的滑道的一个，你可以说是游戏吧，或者说玩中学，学中玩让他能去了解1、2、3、4、5这样一个基本的数字，同时他会做出预判，他会学会基本的概率的预测。他不需要了解 what is probability， 但是他在这个过程中，他已经知道 probability 在一个实践的过程中可能是一个什么情况。第二款产品，第二个解决方案是在2018年的这个11月在全球发布的，叫 Coding Express 早期启蒙编程小火车这个应该说是在我们在 coding 这个领域针对学前领域的一个非常有益的尝试它可以是一个完全 physical 的 experience， 但是能让孩子初步去启蒙编程。何为编程？编程里面有 sequencing， 有 looping有 conditional coding， 这些词说实话我到大学前都没有碰过，我到今天也不一定完全了解它真实的意义哈。我是文科出身的非常遗憾一直没有好学 STEM 但是呢，孩子们能够通过一个可感应的积木块，它作为一个小火车，它能够去和不同颜色的积木发生不同的反应，去了解何为 conditional coding， 何为 looping， 何为 sequencing。 这是一个非常简单易入门的一个 physical experience， 但是同时呢，它也可以和 iPad 和数字体验去结合它可以有音乐，可以有故事可以改变这些积木的这个反应的模式。所以这个 Coding Express 是我们非常引以为自豪的一套学习解决方案。那当然，谈到这个学习解决方案，很重要的是 we're very serious about lessons 我们非常重视这个课程体系，所以针对这样一个编程小火车呢，我们会对标美国的 NIEYC， 那我们也在尝试去对标中国的早期儿童学习发展指南所以大家会看到这个 STEAM Learning 不是简单的一个说我们做一套有意义的游戏、有意思的游戏，这叫 STEAM Learning。我们相信它是有非常重要的积淀的，而且这个我们是要有明确的这个我们说从学习的角度来说，或教育角度来说，我们应该有一定的课程的对标。那当然我们要存一定的开放性这也是为什么我们不强调说孩子要搭出一个什么样的结果，或者说一定要把这个我们说做出什么样的一个方案，它最重要在这过程中能够是探究、探索评估、合作。前面谈到在上2周我们发布了一个全球的新品那简单做一个介绍，就这款新品是我们一个很重要的全球的重新定位。这个定位怎么理解呢？我们不希望 STEAM 教育是为一小群学生而创立的体验。我相信在国内或者说比较熟悉国内这个状态的同学或同仁会知道STEAM 教育在国内基本上至少在前15年或20年尽管这个词没有出现，它是被竞赛所引领的。OK，那如果我们一谈到竞赛呢，我的理解是它只有1%乃至1/1000的同学在真正能够参与到 STEAM 的教育或者说学习当中。但是我们的目的是希望让剩下的99%乃至95%的同学和老师都能够参与到 STEAM 教育的这样一个我们说创新的模式当中所以说这也是为什么我们的这重新定位应该说用3个词我用3个比较中国的词来说第一个词叫普惠 for all， 第2个词叫优质，这大家都非常熟悉 quality这个乐高我们有非常强大的自信。第3个叫多样性，也就是说孩子们和老师在这过程中他的学习体验不再是唯一的答案不再是唯一的要搭一个机器人，不再是 code to learn to code， 它而且能够 code to learn。 OK，当然新品我们会开发了新的这个课程体系，这课程体系总共现在有33节课，每节课45分钟都是完全对应中美或者乃至全球的课堂环境它有非常重要的这个我们说延伸性的这个我们说创造性在当中。大家看到有开创小事业，针对6到8年级的同学让他去学会生活中去发现一些有趣的事情它其实背后是有很多数据的对接、编程的对接，那当然还有这个创造动手的体验。所以总结来说，乐高教育我们相信孩子们需要在动手实践中学习，在这过程中他培养他的必要的生活技能21世纪的这个4C当然在这过去的20年当中，乐高教育非常有幸我们参与到了 STEAM 这样的一个 learning journey和这样一个创造的体系当中。同时我们认为从今天开始我们的定位是普惠到所有学生。谢谢。
Thank you, Robert, for the sharing. And our next speaker is Dr. Saeed Arida. Saeed is the founder and CEO of Newview Studio, a Cambridge-based innovation school. Newview is paving the way for a new studio-based educational model that nurtures students' creative and innovative skills through project-based and collaborative design. I had the privilege to visit Newview once and was really impressed by all the works that the students are doing there. So let's welcome Dr. Saeed Arida to learn more about it.
I wish I could speak Chinese. I would have done it in Chinese, but I don't know. So it's going to be in English, unfortunately. So I'm going to spend these 12 minutes talking to you about a program that we started 9 years ago. And I think at the core of it was basically looking at the students' kind of creative intelligence and try to design a whole new kind of learning experience around that. And so for us, when we got into it, we were not really thinking about making or any of those things. The only piece that we were really kind of obsessed with is the whole notion that all students can be creative We just need to kind of give them the right environment and the right tools, and they will do amazing stuff. So this came out of my research at MIT when I was doing my PhD in the architecture school. So this is a little bit traditional. It did not come from an education school. And the whole premise of it, the whole pedagogy of it is based on a studio model. And so this is our space in Central Square, which is around 10 minutes walk from here. And you can see it's an open space. A lot of students are working on all sorts of stuff. A big part of the studio model basically is the idea that the students are given a studio brief at the beginning, and the students spend around 2 to 3 weeks solving that brief. We don't just let the students in the studio environment and we ask them to come up with anything, because what we saw in a lot of environments when that happened is that the students don't necessarily produce meaningful stuff. So what we spend a lot of time doing is frame those problems for them. So when we work with a refugee camp in Turkey, or with a homeless shelter, or with a video game around political issues, we try to bring in that context into the students so they try to understand the problem that we are trying to deal with. And we spend the bulk of the studio on that creative process, guiding the students in terms of producing the work and iterating on it, and then we have a final presentation at the end. So every 2 to 3 weeks, basically, we have a big presentation session. All the students have to come on stage and present the work that they have done. And a big part of what we try to do is to convince the students to take the scenic route. When the students are basically coming to us from a regular school environment, they have what we call the homework mindset. So the idea is to solve it as quickly as possible. That is what success is. And for us, success is taking the scenic route and going through all these different iterations to get to the final outcome. So the whole model is based on a very rigorous critique process. So the students do the work, and then we give them a lot of feedback, and then they take that feedback and synthesize it into a new iteration, and then they show us basically what they produced, and we give them more feedback, and they synthesize that all the time. So on average, we give the students around 4 critique sessions every day. And as you can imagine, initially, even if you have an idea now and you tell me your idea and I start critiquing your idea, probably the first thing that you're going to do is either going to cry or your face is going to turn red and it's going to get really tricky. And so this is what happens to our students too. So what we try to do is kind of get them through that process really slowly. And the goal is that after 3 months, they start asking for that feedback because they understand that it's very valuable. And to be able to kind of to advance your idea, you have to get all this feedback from other people. And sometimes that feedback can be very contradictory, and I can tell you something and someone else will tell you something. And so the goal is for the students to be able to take all that feedback and make sense of it.
I can code, I can create things, I can do art, I can also do technology. There's nothing stopping me here. So I went to high school for about a month, and that was pretty horrible. Came home crying about every day. And I would spend my days like sitting around in class, and I'd try to pay attention and I just couldn't. I'd spend the day like doodling away and just kind of waiting for the day to be over. I first heard about NewView through some friends, and so then my mom's like showing me the website and she's like, oh, it's like a school, you could go there. I'm like, yeah, but I don't get it. Like, how is it a school? Like, I just don't understand like how this exists. I remember Saeed gave us this project and we had to make these flip books. You could spin and it'd be like a little animation. And it was something like 36 laser cut pieces. So I spent like 3 hours working on it at home. And then I came in the new video and he's like, no, it's just not gonna work. You just don't get it. And then he's like, try doing it again. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm gonna do this again.
I am an artist, and it's a good thing.
I see and feel the world very deeply. But I also see the elderly person on the street struggling with the zipper of their jacket, and my mind starts thinking of inventions that could help them. The great thing about NewView is I have like both the art piece here and like the mechanical, the technical piece here. As like the art piece grows, then it's like, oh, the technical piece has to grow, and then like as the technical piece grows, then the art piece grows, and like things just keep getting like bigger and better.
So what do we got here?
So this is a hand drive wheelchair attachment, which can attach to any wheelchair, and it allows it to be powered in a rowing motion. That one was super cool just because it took off. It really became a thing. And it's like, I know that it's something useful for the world, and like people are actually like trying to use it, which I think is super cool. I think that the Fashion Week studios have changed my life in a lot of ways. That's one of the instances where it really goes from 0 to 100 so quickly. And like 100 is like a real fashion show with like real photographers, real models, real everything. I always realized I had that spark and that excitement to learn. But before, I wasn't given the chance to let this grow. After pushing myself through project after project, I see the world through a different lens and see the impact I can make.
So this is one of our students who graduated 2 years ago. I wanted to show the movie because it gives you an idea about the whole experience from a student's perspective. And that shopping kind of filter was actually before. It was not made like this, so it was just, so it gave a nice effect, which is not intentional. So the students who come to us basically spend the 4 years just doing studios. We don't do subjects, we don't do any of that. So the main goal that we have as teachers in the space is that we design these learning experiences. So when she did the hand drive, basically, we decided to focus a lot on disability and how we can come up with solutions for these things. So the hand drive came out of that, and then she got really excited about it, and she ended up continuing with this project for 6 months, and she went to the White House, and she had a lot of other people use it. And to this day, that project is still active. The same thing with the fashion studios. We had basically a relationship with the Fashion Week in Boston, and every year our students will produce a collection, and it will debut on the stage. So that was pretty amazing. So the question for us for the past basically 3 years has been how to take this and scale it up. We know that it's hard to kind of create an environment like this on a bigger scale. We have around 60 students in Central Square, and we don't expect to have more than 80 students in general because we have a ratio of almost 6 to 1. So we've been thinking about a lot of ways of how we can scale this up and give a lot more basically students access to this. So we created a new initiative that we call NuvuX. And the whole idea of it is to create Nuvu labs inside schools. So we started this 3 years ago, and now we have 15 schools. Not all the schools are represented. What is really exciting about this is that we have a big mix of public and private schools, and we have also local and international schools. So the schools that we have in Turkey, for instance, are refugee camps. And then, in the US, we have 3 public schools that joined the network. And so the diversity of the network is really exciting for us in terms of kind of creating that network of like-minded schools that are interested in the same thing. And so what is this allowing us to do is to create a big R&D lab in the mothership now, what we call Cambridge. So if we have a big team now that is working on designing these learning experiences, not just for us, but for the rest of the network. And we are also creating a lot of resources that are shared with the network. So we develop curriculum, we develop tools, online platforms, and we kind of allow all the network to have access to that. And what we're doing now too is also teaching a lot of studios across different schools. So this is, for instance, done between a school in Florida and a school in a refugee camp in Turkey. And we were working with kids who had disability from the war. So you can imagine how, bringing that context into the kids in Florida was really key. And they are actually, basically the students in Turkey and refugee, they go and interview the kids who have disability, and then they upload all of that content and into the platform, so the school, the kids in Florida can see that and can design solutions that would work. So there's a video here, hopefully. So this is one of the solutions that they designed for this girl, and you can see how happy she is just to try it out. So as I said in the beginning, how do we kind of create that context for the students so when they do something, there is a platform for them to share and they feel like what they are doing can have an impact on the world and change people's life. This is another project that we did in which we were designing playgrounds, but the idea is that the kids in the refugee camp in Turkey would design some objects for the playground that we will, for instance, construct in Woodstock, Vermont, and the kids in Woodstock, Vermont will make also playgrounds, but we will build them in the refugee camp. And this is just one of the examples that we will build in the summer. So this is now the vision that we have, because we are seeing the impact that these programs are having on these different schools all over the world. So within now the next 2 years, we're planning to build basically 100 of those and connect them through the network that we have. Thank you.
And our next and last speaker is Ms. Joy Chen. Joy is the U.S. Chief Investment Officer at TAL. She's a Stanford Business School alumna and was among the first group of people doing research in online education in China. Let's welcome Ms. Joy Chen to share her insights into the STEAM marketplace and vision in China and U.S.
Okay, good morning. This is my third time to be here. The Harvard China Education Symposium has never disappointed me. So Robert talked about Lego and Saeed talked about his school. Christine has just talked about her museum. Here I'm going to give you some overview about STEAM education market in both China and the US. Working for the largest education company headquartered in China, and I myself based in Silicon Valley, living in Palo Alto, gave me great opportunity to understand both US and China education market for STEAM. And before I'm going to talk a little bit more about STEAM, I'm going to first share with you my understanding about the overview of China education market. Because of that, you have a macro understanding about how it is over there for the whole education. A lot of things will have impact and influence to the STEAM. So first of all, when we talk about the China education market, people think there's a huge market with tons of opportunities, which is true. There are many reasons. One of the biggest reasons is because of the huge population. China is a country with 1.4 billion population there. And here I listed 4 numbers according to different age groups. One is for the early childhood, which is about 45 million. K-12 is about 160 million. And higher education, which is about 36 million. And the vocational education, the number is about 30 million. And I guarantee you, the last number will keep growing because now we are in the AI-centric kind of time frame. And we have already seen the jobs have been taken by machines, robots. And this will happen more, actually. So in order to get ourselves not only survive, hopefully we will thrive in the future, we need to learn more skills and get to understand more knowledge so that we can be better prepared for our future. And I usually would love to do the benchmark with numbers, these numbers with the population of the country, so that to give you a better understanding about how huge population for education for students over there. By any chance, any of you here knows the number for the population for the country of Russia? Anyone? Just shout out the number you know. Anyone? Well, I can give you guys the number. It's about 140 million. And look at the number for K-12. It's 20 million more than the total population for Russia. Another country's number I would like to share is Canada. Anyone here ever lives or studied in Canada? Know the number there? Okay, I can share with you the number. It's about 35 million, so which is very close to the higher education students number there. Okay, this number will keep growing, and many reasons. And although we are doing a lot of things to try to control the number, but we do see there will be a lot of new babies coming out. One of the reasons is since year 2011, the government has relaxed the one-child policy. And because of that, we have seen many families start to have second child or even a third. And usually those are the families with the buying power. And the parents, they have been better educated, and they are looking for the better education services and products for their children. And another reason is because of the rising middle and upper class in China. And this is a number from 2016, and we have seen 220 million households, which contributes about 660 million population in the middle and upper class category. Last but not least, is the government focus attention. Government has spent tons of money to promote education in China. Here, a couple of numbers I want to share is, number one is year 2017, the government has spent about $3 trillion in education, mainly about how to improve the K-12, higher education, online learning, and another focus area is STEAM. And also, government has spent a large percent, relatively speaking, percent of the GDP on education. And I have 5 countries here. China is after Denmark, UK, France, and the US. We are spending about 4.2% of our GDP just for education. Because of all those reasons, and we have seen a couple of key subsectors within education overall market have done a great things already and have attracted a lot of attention, especially being an investor. I have key interest in those 4 subsectors. Number one for sure is K-12. That is 75 billion market, big market, and it is a highly fragmented market. Even the big players like us, TAL and New Oriental, we only have probably 2 to 3% of the market share. A little bit better in the bigger city, like for Beijing, I have the number here, which is about like 15 to 16%. But still, this is a market with tons of players there. And the second one is early childhood education. And the third one is language education, international education. Give you a number. Last year, 2018, we have about 500,000 students going to another country to pursue their education. So language learning, especially English language learning is a big need over there. And the last is the STEAM. So this leads me to talk more about STEAM. So first of all, this is the overview about the STEAM education market in China. First, it has been promoted by the government policies. As I mentioned, the government has paid lots of attention nowadays into the education sector. We are going through the reform for the college exam, and also people start to focus more on the overall, all kinds of core qualities to develop a student. And the STEAM is definitely one of them. And here we have a policy in year 2017, February. The government has officially announced STEAM curriculum is going to be part of the primary education curriculum. And according to what we have seen down the road, like a couple of years, for the past couple of years, to myself and my colleagues, we have seen great potential in 2 different kinds of STEAM companies. Number one is the one with the capability. They can do lots of curriculum design development. Because of that, they will help to build up the standards for the industry. And number 2 is the companies with the capability to deliver the online curriculum for the STEAM-related area. And talking about the market size, usually people have different ways to come up with the total market size. I usually use the formula like this. Involves like 3 different variables. Number 1 is total K-12 students number. Number 2 is the penetration rate. Number 3 is the average spending for that area. So according to many market analysis reports, the number of the K-12 students I've shared with you, and the average spending is about 1,500. Maybe Robert has a better understanding, better idea to share, but this is the, like a yearly kind of program or products the parents have already purchased for their kids. And another very interesting number I want to share with you is the penetration rate. You guys probably have seen 3 numbers here. It's a little bit kind of projection about the penetration rate. Now it's not close to 2% for China. It's close to 1.5 to 1.8. And because of all these 3 numbers, I came up with the market size. So even if we can reach 2%, which I see probably will come end of this year or probably early next year, this is a market with $5 billion US. And 1% increase from the penetration side will make a large contribution to the market size. And if 3%, we end up with $7 billion. If it is going to be 4%, it's going to be $10 billion. And just to benchmark another country, which has done, I think, a little bit better, not as good as US, in Korea. Korea's penetration rate is about 3%. And I do believe we're not far away to reach the 3% from China market. A little bit more overview about US STEAM education market. This is definitely a much maturer market comparing to China. We started this kind of promotion for STEAM about 30 years ago. And government has kept putting out the policies, regulations to support it. Not only from the Obama the government, we have something came out like 2014 and 2016. And also, by the end of last year, Trump's government has also promoted STEAM in a big way. They put together something, I didn't put it here, they put together something called a 5-year strategic plan, which is called North Star. So the key focus is to promote science, technology, math for the kids. So here is the US market size. I'm still using the same formula, but here you will see 3 numbers are totally different for sure. The K-12 students number is about 56 million. And the average spending here, this is a much smaller number. I'm playing a little bit conservative here. This is 125. A couple of reasons. US parents, they're not like Chinese parents. Chinese parents easily pull out credit cards, pay for all kinds of different education products and solution services. Here, US parents would love to push the kids to the playground and have fun outside in the nature. But still, STEAM, they pay for that. Especially we see a lot of parents have paid for the summer camp, also like after school curriculum. If that involves STEAM, they would love to get that kind of solution, products and services for the kids. And the penetration rate is much, much higher than China. It's about 40%, which means like 4 out of 10 students, they have been reached out by the STEAM education program. So the market size right now is roughly 2.8 billion. And I think I'm probably running out of my time, but I want to share with all of you guys one thing. Both US market and the China market are sharing, which is the similar kind of STEAM vision. We want to make sure we have the innovative measures of learning. Also, the learning can happen in different, like flexible learning spaces. And also, we want to make sure kids are doing the STEM learning by solving the relevant grand challenges the planet is facing, human beings are facing together. And also, we want to make sure they have the accessible activities that will invite play and risk. And also, we want to make sure this is an ecosystem. Every party is playing their role to support a STEAM education. And the last but not least, being a woman, I also want to promote diversity, but diversity not only different ethnic groups from different countries, cultures, like underprivileged people versus people from like wealthy families. But I want to see more girls get more STEAM educations. If this hasn't happened yet, I really want to see this is going to happen from now, and we will help to promote that in the future. Well, that's my sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joy, for presenting us a very comprehensive picture of the STEAM marketplace for both countries. And now let's welcome all the speakers onto the stage for a panel discussion and Q&A. Take a seat. While our presenters are presenting, many of the audience have raised interesting questions through Slido. And if you haven't, you could always enter your question with the event code 2939. And we have selected some interesting questions for deeper discussion. And due to time constraint, not many of the questions could be selected. Thank you for understanding that. And as the moderator today, I'll take the advantage to ask the first question. And this is the question for all of you. The works that you just shared are really amazing. So what's one of the biggest challenge when you think of expanding the influence of STEAM and innovative learning resources? For example, through scaling or localizing relevant practices. So it's about the biggest challenge.
You want to start from there? I just done the talk.
Emma? Okay. I really think that enabling teachers is probably the biggest challenge, especially in the context of China. As I just shared, right, science curriculum was implemented and announced in 2017. And as you know, traditionally, all Chinese curriculum are subject-based. So to teach a cross-curricular, problem-based, project-based learning solution, in a school context, as well as in an after-school context, it's something that has never happened. And none of the teachers has been trained that way. So I would argue that's not only a teaching mode change, but also mindset change. And it not only takes a top-down policy to move the needle, but also requires strong motivation from the teacher side because they are already heavily loaded. That they need to prepare kids for tests, fortunately and unfortunately. And I was one of them some years ago. So I think that's definitely a big challenge from what I have seen.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will echo the same thing because as we work now with a lot more schools, the educational system that we built, especially in K-12, is very archaic, and it's more than 100 years old. And every step, if you finish elementary, then you go to middle into high school, and there are tests and exams for you to kind of go from one step to the next. And probably the biggest bottleneck is also college admissions. And this is all changing very, very rapidly these days, but there's still, the traditional system is still very strong. And although, for instance, a lot of parents come to us wanting something different, but then immediately it's like, but what about the coursework and math and physics, and how they're going to get to college? And we tell them we have a different way of getting into college, and we have these innovative transcripts that a lot of colleges understand, but they always go back to the same thing. But this is how we did high school, and if we don't do that, then it's a problem. And obviously, this is not just with parents; it's also with schools and public districts and all of that. That there is. Everybody wants to move in that direction, but the pull of the system is still very strong. So the challenge for us is always how do we break through this and convince enough kind of educators and families that this is the way to do it.
Thank you, Saeed. Anything to add on?
I'll just build on that, which is in an informal context. The number one reason we know across the U.S. that people come to museums is to spend time together as a group. So they're not coming necessarily to learn, although we know that they have a choice of many different kinds of places where they could go. And we know that the learning that museums afford is one of the reasons and motivations. The hard part is we don't even have the teachers, right, that can go through a school of education to reconceptualize what education means. Many parents come with a misconception about what learning is, and we can see and we can measure the learning that's happening in their child and in their group, but they can't see it because they don't have kind of an understanding of what learning is that matches our conception. The other part in terms of spreading that's and expanding is that most of the parents who come with children to a museum are women, and the women haven't been raised in a culture, some of us have, but many haven't, where they see themselves as STEM learners, and so they hold back from facilitating their child's learning. So we're doing a lot right now to think about how we expand the role of the mom, not just in our own museum, but in museums across the nation.
Thank you, Christine.
So my sharing would be, actually, I have seen a couple of challenges there. One of them being the content, especially for the China STEAM education market, where this is kind of a new concept for us. So we are lack of great content to deliver to the kids. So that's why I'm here. I'm also looking for great STEAM-related content so we can do investment, merger acquisition, whatever. We've done a very good acquisition, which I'm so proud of, which is Code Monkey. I don't know if you guys heard about that. Robert, for sure, you have. So this is a great kind of online coding kind of program. I won't talk more about those details, but just to show you what are the things we think we are lack of back in China. So content is definitely one. And even if we find a good content from overseas, it takes a lot of work to do the localization, which means not only the language localization, and think about the case scenario, case study, and how people learn differently in different cultures and countries. All those need to be customized and localized. And another thing I can see, which is a big challenge in China as well, is the time. Most of the STEAM education, even though it has already been part of the school education system, however, a lot of things happen after school. But think about it, how much does each student have after school? And the parents still trying to figure out what time for math, what time for science, what time for English, and which is critical. I was the founder for First Leap, and it was great business because that's a huge need in China for language learning. By the way, the company got acquired by Tao. So like for those, they have the first priority. That's the point I want to make. But for STEAM, project learning and all those things sounds crazy. Sounds great, like fancy. Sorry, so it's not crazy. It's like crazily fancy. Okay, putting it this way. So it's like, so they probably, as of now, it's not like top priority there yet. So to figure out the time for parents to put into their kids' calendar, that is a big challenge I can see.
Yeah, thank you so much. So maybe this is like more of a follow-up question raised by the audience. So given the more elective nature of both like Boston Science Museum and like LEGO Solution, and like how do we push STEAM education as more urgent and popular in schools and family? So putting the informal learning into the formal learning context.
I struggle with that. I think we have found ways of creating urgency to come to the museum. And so we rely on finding topics or experiences that are of high interest, kind of leveraging that motivation of spending time together as a group and helping that people then see the relevancy of STEAM to their lives, right? So first we start with kind of bringing them to the museum, and then within the museum context, leveraging that. And making it something that they start to see as important for their lives. I think one of the challenges we have is, as an organization, our mission statement is that everyone has a role to play in STEM. And we don't see that our role is to just create science and technology professionals. And what we really want to have is a STEM literate citizenry that where STEM is informing how they're thinking about policies, how they're thinking about their everyday decisions, how they're thinking about their use of plastics, their carbon footprint, all of those pieces. And yet so often in our culture, STEM is only talked about as something that is a pathway towards particular professions and a very narrow set of professions. And when Americans think about scientists and people in technology and engineering, they tend to think of them as elite thinkers, only the smartest. So getting everyone to see that there's a role for STEM in their lives, that there's a role in STEM for them as a citizen, and that there's so many different STEM professions, I think that's that's the thing we're constantly focusing on. And just to give one example, a colleague of mine did a study of women and was asking them, are you in a STEM profession? And they would say no. But then they'd ask them, what do you do? And they would say, I'm a nurse, I'm a science teacher. And so even, the urgency has to come with kind of our effort to change the public's conception of what STEM means and all of the ways that it's part of our lives.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really think that one of the things that we're trying to do, at least in China, is that to implement something quote unquote turnkey curriculum actually can be a good start. As I just shared, right, teachers have a lot of challenges, time-wise, scheduling-wise, pressure-wise, and to provide a turnkey solution as the basis is very important. And that kind of curriculum is a good start so that, again, there will be ecosystem players that can play more roles in terms of professional development. And that comes to my second point, is that no company should try to play everything. Right? We should try to work with the ecosystem players to enable playful learning and also professional development of teachers and also curriculum development so that it's easier for teachers to start. And then there will be other players to help them to grow. And that's why, at least for LEGO Education, we invest in this kind of initiative to work with the Ministry of Education in China and also try to work with other countries' Ministry of Education to activate that. And hopefully that kind of activation can bring about more players into the space. And just the third point, I think, is that to make the turnkey curriculum easy entry, or low entry, but obviously have some wide wall, high ceiling possibilities in terms of learning experiences, because otherwise teachers will feel very frustrated because, again, they need to come to a very standardized answer, and that's not what we are here for. So this kind of easy entry, high ceiling, wide wall learning experiences, it's not my theory. I think at least it's come from Mitch Resnick, the founder of Scratch. So I think that's actually also another point I think can be very critical.
Thank you, Robert. Saeed, could you talk a bit more about how to attract students from the formal schooling system into the innovative school, the studio-based model in your practice?
How do we move them?
Yes, how to engage them in the sort of alternative school process.
Yeah, I mean, luckily for us is that when we built the place, it was built to be very alternative. So the informal learning becomes the learning. So this whole idea that you need something different, it's all learning, right? It does not matter. So the question becomes what is more effective? And all the studies show that if the students are really engaged and interested in the material that they are trying to do, then they're gonna do the work and they're gonna learn. And this is evidenced by why the museums works, because the kids go and they get excited and they learn all sorts of stuff. And so for us, at least at Nuvo here at the mothership, this is what we try to do: is how do we create experiences that will engage them in a deep level, and then it does not really matter how hard the technical stuff that we throw at them at that point, because they want to do it, because they want to see a product, they want to see an impact on the world. They can see that very clearly with the stuff that they are doing. With the other schools that we work with, our strategy is that we don't want to just come into the school and change the school from day one. We want to create a seed of change within the school. And what we try to do is that we start bringing a lot more teachers and students into the space and watch that kind of grow into the school. So every school, we have a timeline of 3 to 5 years where the hope is that we really transform the whole kind of culture of the school where all of the learning can become like this, and it's not just an after school.
Thank you so much. The model is really effective. And Joy, do you have anything to add on?
I think I just echo some of the things they have just mentioned, which is actually critical, which is each party need to play a role there, take the responsibility there. It's not only the government to push out the policies, regulation, how to execute it. And it's not at the school district level, at like the headmaster, principals level. Also like all those teachers, how can they go and do the teaching? Do they have the right curriculum, the content? So the professional trainer program has tons of value there. And also we need to educate the parents. We need to let them have this kind of urgency, willingness, to get additional support from the family to the kids. And also from the kids' side, we need to motivate them. We don't want to kind of give them the pressure like, oh, this is another class, you need to go. But make it fun, make it entertaining, so they are willing to go there by themselves.
Yes, the point entertainment is really important for kids. So I've got a lot of questions for individual speakers, but like feel free to like add on. So this is one for Christine. So what kind of designs have been made for children with special needs in the Museum of Science? This is the question for you. Yeah, you're the expert.
Thank you. So it's something that I care passionately about, and the museum has been actively working on for over 30 years. So what we follow is a theory of universal design. So we don't create specialized designs for specialized groups, but rather we embed within our designs an understanding of a very broad definition of normal. We don't assume that there's kind of a normal individual who has full sight and then that's who we're designing for. We assume that there's a broad range of vision that any one individual might be bringing to the exhibition. So in Science Behind Pixar, there are audio descriptions at each individual component that tells you how to interact with it. We also brought in a character actor whose voice appears in multiple movies to add some color to those audio descriptions so that there's an aesthetic quality to the audio labels. There's also tactile elements throughout. Obviously for audiences who are deaf, we use captioning, but I think more importantly, what we've learned is that for many deaf audiences, their English reading level is often lower than hearing students because the way you learn language is first by hearing. And so what we started working towards in Pixar, and you might have seen it in the background, is image first interpretation and then text overlay so that you can receive most of the information you need through the image. And we found that that also helped students who were dyslexic as well. And it also helped early learners. So the combination of kind of multiple modalities really reached out for everyone. Another piece that we're finding that we're working on right now is around emotional engagement. And we're learning from some of our colleagues here at Harvard that learners for whom the classroom environment has been difficult or challenging, they tend to approach learning settings in a much higher elevated state of kind of anxiety. And so we're trying to think about how we design our environment so that anyone who's had negative experiences in STEM feels more welcome and comfortable and starts to kind of relax their emotional state upon entry. So it's not a traditional way of thinking about people with disabilities, but I think that attending to that emotional engagement is really important.
Thank you. There are so many different approaches used in the Museum of Science. That's great. And this is a question to Robert. Did you use any national standards like NGSS to create curriculum? And how to customize your curriculum to the needs of different areas in China?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. And unfortunately, education's curriculum has been developed mostly based on NGSS. not only for Mindstorms, we do STEAM Park, Coding Express, and also the newly launched Spike Prime. So this whole K-12 learning continuum is already based on NGSS, and we are mapping every lesson plan to the NGSS standard. And for the Chinese case, we started mapping and redesigning our curriculum to map it against the Chinese science standard at primary school level. And that's why I just now shared that we published this STEAM textbooks. It's totally aligned with the science standards in China. And we're going to align with information technology courses standards for primary, for middle school level. And as we know that China probably going to relaunch its next middle school and high school science-related physics, chemistry, biology standards in the next 2 years. So hopefully, as the Chinese government announce those standards, we're going to also align our curriculum for China to those new standards. So that's already in our strategic roadmap in terms of product development. And we're very fortunate to work with local experts in that area. And hopefully, by starting to see more schools using that new textbooks and curriculum, we will have a lot of actually confidence and also efficacy study coming out of those implementation. And hopefully those efficacy studies can inform governments to further implement STEAM learning at different levels.
Thank you, Robert. And this is a question for Dr. Saeed Arida, but I guess many of the speakers could speak for that. How accessible is it, the STEAM resources that you mentioned, to students from lower income households?
I mean, it usually works better for low-income kids. I mean, this is at least from experience. For instance, the students that we have in refugee camps in Turkey or some of the low-income public schools that we work with, is that for these students who have not been exposed to a lot of these things, there is a lot more energy and hunger to basically take on those challenges and do something really amazing. And you can see clearly when we do these virtual exchanges now between all the schools, always the better work comes from the schools that are under-resourced. So this whole idea that you need equipments and you need spaces